All right, hello there, everyone. Today I am proud to announce that I'm going to be coming up with a new series where we focus on the spy play and sort of the spy macro and micro is associated with Spy Party. I want to thank everybody for the support over the past year. I've been uploading just specifically like sniper videos, mainly teaching the daily stuff where I just show my thought process while sniping and the support I think has been immense. I've gotten a lot more sort of reach than I thought I would. I think a lot of people have, communicated to me that these videos have been very helpful for them and that they're actually taking stuff away from my videos. I've had just many people just randomly come up to me and DM me and say, hey, like, love the videos, like, keep it up. I learned a lot from it, and they continue to ask me some questions, and that is exactly what I had hoped to achieve by posting these videos, but I think now it is time to graduate from sniping for a little bit because there's so much content I have out there on sniping, and sniping is actually one of the easiest things that you can even practice in a game of Spy Party. So I think that if we sort of move away from that, I think it should be okay for the time being. Now maybe I will post one here and there if it's like really requested, but yeah. So I wanted to talk about the overall game plan. As you can see on the screen, I have 6 things that I had put up there. Uh, and one of the main things that was a little difficult was that, sniping is a very easy thing to teach, right? Because, if I show something that works, everyone can do it and copy it and it will work all the time, right? If I show my routine, I show what I do every single game, even though every single game of Spy Party is different, then people can still copy it, learn something, take something away from it. There's still nuggets of knowledge to be gained there. Um, However, I think that spy play is a lot different, and Hoffnung actually mentioned this in the Discord. If anyone from the Discord is listening to this, where like, you know, I feel like sniper play is very concrete. You just know whether something happened or not most of the time, and you have perfect information as the sniper. I mean, you also have it as the spy technically, but as a sniper, you have the option to highlight, low light. You have the entire party within your vision. You're not under the laser, and it's very easy to teach sniper play. Spy play is a little bit harder to teach because, every game is so different and like not you as the sniper, if you do things correctly like 100% of the time, then you basically will only lose probably 1% of the time, if that. I think if you play a perfect sniper game, you're never going to lose. If you had perfect information and memory and attention at every given, perfect moment, I think that you would never lose a sniper game. So as a spy, it's hard to just be like, oh, if you would have done this, you would have won because Spy is not like that. Spy is just making high percentage plays that will hopefully work, and if it doesn't work, then you tried your best. But so that's why I've kind of decided to come up with a few different sort of overall principles that I think that I would, really take into consideration every time I want to make a move in Spy Party. Now, I'm not saying like every single time in the game you should be sitting here thinking like, oh, okay, let's see. Let me go over. Let's see. I spawned into the game. Okay, pacing. Let me see. Is my pacing good? Oh, I better go do something. Oh, but the laser's doing like you don't just go down the list and be like, okay, let me do this, and this. You know what I mean? I feel like I've seen a lot of these like sort of tips with like chess things where it's like, okay, every single move, think through these 7 things, and then you'll be a pro chess player in no time, and you'll just know everything. But I don't think that's how it works because spy play is very, you know, not opportunistic, but like very sort of like dynamic. You want to typically like things are changing always within a spy game, so I think that just by like going over the same 7 things in your mind over and over again every single time you're on the spy side doesn't really help you that much. But hopefully these 6 principles can help you, sort of at least uncover what the right move is in a game for you, and hopefully that would be some sort of, interesting, thing that you haven't thought about before because you don't really play spy that often, or like, you just were like, I'm just gonna spy whatever I spy. Hopefully my opponent makes a mistake. I don't really think that spy play is really that, it's not really into my own hands. It's based on the sniper, but I'm here to say that, a good spy can really make the sniper question themselves. Because Nebula, who just, played in Platinum, had a 50% spy rate against some of the best players in the game. And so I think there's definitely things that people can do better on the spy side that I don't think they're currently doing. I think that the skill ceiling is a lot higher, and in fact, like probably like 5 times higher on the sniper side than the spy side. There's not a lot of strong spies out there. I think that a lot of people are decent spies. Maybe like 2 or 3 good spies, really good spies, but most everybody is at some point just doing things because hopefully it works out and they hit like a green button at the end of the game praying that the sniper doesn't know. But I think there's always opportunities that you're missing inside of a game, which is why I now want to sort of get into the what I would call for myself, this is what I've analyzed and thought about, and I think these are the six main things that will influence a spy game or not directly and how it is played. So let me go over each of these, and hopefully they just give you like a little bit more things to like look for while you're playing. Maybe you could think through like one of these. Hopefully one of them comes to you in the spur of the moment, and you think to yourself, okay, I could do that. Okay, so number one is pacing. Now, now let me take you through a very big mistake, like a model game that would be like a mistake. So here's what I see all the time at like the lower level. I will see somebody spawn into the game on screen right now is gonna be the first game we're gonna snipe. I'm using the matchmaking, by the way. I'm probably just gonna use matchmaking or like the level 7 daily because it's the highest level and I don't need to go over etiquette a million times because those are already my sniper videos. But anyway, pacing is one of the biggest issues that I see because most of the time I will watch a game, they spawn in on ballroom, they do nothing, they maybe get a few flirts here and there, and then it's 1 minute left and they have like one more flirt to go and maybe they contacted but they don't have anything else and they haven't been doing anything active, they're not trying to actually do anything, they're just sitting in conversation hoping at the end of the game everything will just work out in their favor. And how many times have you seen this? Or if you're new, if you haven't seen this, this is what happens. You watch a game, you watch someone sit there, idle down the clock, and then they have no other option. So at 30 seconds left, you see someone green purloin, or you see someone reject a drink and go to center statues, and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to watch the fade on this drink, and then the next person takes it's a green fade. There's only one other person in the chain, which is the person that just went to center inspects, and then you shoot them. And then you think to yourself, wow, that was a stressful game, but I guess the spy didn't actually do anything. And then you as the spy think maybe might be thinking to yourself, oh wow, I got unlucky. Or oh, there was just no opportunities in the game. Well, I'm here to say to you that the number one issue there would have been pacing. And I think pacing is a term that I would sort of define as just being able to complete missions in a timely manner before the end of the game, but also in a way such that you're not making anything that you have no choice but to do at the end of the game because your pacing was so like awful throughout the game. So like what I mean by that is that pacing isn't just about, oh, I need to complete missions before the time runs out, because obviously, right, that's obviously the goal. But what I more so mean by that is that I think people should be pacing with an eye in mind to making themselves finish missions, say before like the 1 minute mark, because you can catch your opponent off guard that way. And I think that a lot of the times people just do stupid things as a result of not pacing well because they have no choice. Like if it's 30 seconds left in the game and you don't even have like three missions yet on like gallery, then you almost have no choice but to go bug and maybe direct micro swap. You have no choice, right? And then the sniper is going to see all this behaviorally and be like, wow, okay, I better watch that person. And then they see a green swap and purloin right at the end of the game or something, and then they're like, okay, well, this person's a spy. So now I know you're thinking, okay, but you've harped on pacing. Now what can I actually do to increase my pacing? Well, here's a few like easy, common tips. For one, I think that it makes the most sense to just flirt extremely fast and efficiently. So, for example, at the start of the game, when it's time of chaos, I think that 99% of people, depending on who you're playing against, should just instantly flirt and walk away at the beginning of the game. So there's other factors there, but normally easiest thing to do is just to do that. If you're doing anything else, then I don't know. Maybe you want to like start at another mission site, but normally the number one thing that pacing is sort of like measured by is your flirts. If your flirts are done really early on, say we're on ballroom 3:30 or as we are right now, and you have your flirts done before 2:30. That gives you 2.5 minutes to sit there and come up with a great game plan so that you can, outplay the sniper and, you have so much time and so much, resources to do stuff with. Now, pacing's obviously something that's not just one size fits all. So, like, I'm not saying every single game, go there and flirt immediately, leave, and, basically get yourself in trouble with the sniper. Obviously not. You can just, keeping that in mind that hey, instead of doing it never, I'm gonna try like at least one time per set to just hurry up and get a flirt out of the way, and then finish my missions faster this game. That way, I can maybe catch the sniper off guard. That's something you can do. But pacing really just means that you want to accomplish missions in a timely manner, but also such that you don't look behaviorally suspicious. That's what I would define pathing as, or pacing as, not pathing, sorry. Two P and then ing words. They get really mixed up, pacing and pathing. But yeah, so for pathing, my number one tip, just flirt faster. Just be more aggressive with flirts. I think that, sometimes a lot of people aren't as aggressive with flirts. And just to be honest with you, no one is watching flirts that hard, unless like you're one of the people that actually happens to watch flirts. But most people don't watch flirts, and you can get away with it. So you can also just, change up your pacing. Sometimes if you want to start out, because some people have a style, right? Some people like to play really aggressive. Some people like to play really slow. So pacing is also one of those things that maybe the sniper sort of expects from you. So a good example would be Rov. So Rov plays really, really slow and normally just does things the last minute of the game. Now, Rov's play is a lot different from like just a new player's game though, because he has a plan in mind. He wants to do something by the end of the game. If he doesn't see an opportunity, he'll just time out. But there are some games where he decides to strategically switch up his pacing so that he can catch you off guard. And sometimes you just think, oh, Rov would never do that, and then you miss a purloin cheese or like a bug because you're like, wow, Rov did something aggressive for once. And then vice versa. Nebula likes to finish missions a lot. If you've ever watched a spy play, Nebula's one of the best spies, but who has one of the best pacings in any given game. But even he will switch up his pacing and only go for things when he has a good moment versus just trying to be aggro and then do everything at once, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends. But pacing is one of those things that we'll look at a lot in these replays, so I will save it for that. So number two is laser watching. This one I think is extremely, I guess, underrated. I mean, it's obvious, but not enough people, I think, watch the laser meaningfully. Uh, you know, One of the best things to do when you are the spy, and one of the only things that gives you information about the sniper's play, is the laser. I think it's the only thing that gives you information about the sniper. So the laser is the only like sort of avenue that you have to gaining insight into the sniper's mind. When you look at the laser, you can tell a lot of things from the laser. What they're watching, um, what they are, just everything about um, what they can possibly do. So I think that it makes a lot of sense to I think it makes a lot of sense to watch the laser, and I think that if you are watching the laser, you will be able to sort of come up with easier game plans. Because, for example, say that the sniper laser's on the left side of the venue, the ambassador is over there, but maybe Toby's on the right, and you know that they're watching ambassador, their laser isn't moving. Maybe you can assume that they're zoomed in, you can go for a quick purling and walk away. There's a million things that you sort of have, you're able to do. It's just about it's just simply about making sure that you give yourself as much of an opportunity as possible to do stuff, because laser watching, you really need to make sure that you are in tune with what the sniper is thinking. Okay, I'll explain more of laser watching though when we get into the games. I'll sort of see how like the spies are doing it. But anyway, number three is opportunities. So this just refers to moments that are sort of just what I want to say, like finite in the game, like moments that like are going to go away if you don't take them. So for example, you can always go to statues, you can always go to a bookcase, you can always just walk up to the ambassador and bug if you really want to. But what about when the ambassador comes right next to you and your arm is hidden right behind them? Do you just sit there and not do anything, or do you sit there and bug, knowing that, oh hey, I probably have cover from this because the ambassador is tapped, he's really fat, and he'll block my arm, and he won't be able to see the snapback because my hand is going to reset inside Tap's body, something like that. So that's an opportunity. It's also an opportunity when there's a bunch of chaos at the beginning. This is the easiest opportunity. This is the easiest example of opportunity. At the beginning of the game is called the time of chaos, where like there's every single AI is moving around. It means it's extremely easy to go and like cheese flirt, and what I mean by cheese is just do something immediately and then break etiquette to do it. So like when I say like cheese purloin, you instantly take a purloin and walk away. When I say cheese flirt, you hurry up, talk in convo, and then you walk right out. People like to bug immediately. People like to um, purloin immediately, swap immediately. You can do all these things. It just depends on the opportunity and how you sort of combine it with the second skill, which is laser watching. So typically, opportunities arise from mistakes that the sniper makes, which is tunneling on a party guest, looking at the wrong thing, not having a good enough angle. Opportunities pop up all the time. Sometimes you just aren't aware of them. And similarly with opportunities, party watching, you want to be watching what the party is doing. I guess that's another piece of information that the sniper has that you also have, which is you know what every single guest is doing. So if you know that five people have inspects and the sniper is highlighting for inspects and four of them are in conversation, well, it might be a good time to banana bread because if you know who's in for those contact, then whoever goes to statues next from that thing might have one more mission, and then they're going to be watched during the entire end game. And maybe if one of them goes to like next to the ambassador, maybe that's time for you to purloin because the sniper is going to be watching them for a bug because if they bug, they'll have four missions. Stuff like that. You want to be watching what other people have and memorizing just the same way you would as a sniper, even though most people don't do this. It is a really easy thing to do, and you don't even have to watch everything. Like, I'm not telling you to memorize every single print in a game of Spy Party, but just watch what the party's doing, and overall, just have the general flow of the party. I always call it the party state. So if a party is active, typically that's when you want to be moving around and doing stuff with them. If a party is sort of just dead, that's when you kind of just want to chillax and maybe finish flirts, go do a soft tell like an inspect if you're dead behind on time because while you could be shot for it, it's like you know, there's not anything happening, so you're not going to get away with a bug. You're not going to get away with a microfilm because there's nothing else for the sniper to watch because you know that from the party. If the party's dead, the sniper's not going to have anything to watch. So watching the party, very important, almost as important as watching the laser. Five are mechanics. So mechanics I would refer to as like, etiquette, pathing, like how good you can bug as a spy. These are all as a spy. So like, people can pathing snipe, but do you know the paths? Can you replicate them as a spy? That's one of the things like that would be covered in mechanics, where like, mechanics are just your skill to basically maneuver a spy. How good are you at, moving that spy around? How good are you at, accomplishing your missions? Like different things that, differentiate someone who just joined the game. Like for example, a person who just joined the game isn't going to do a reverse arm bug, right? They're just not going to do that. They're not going to do a bug where you're standing in conversation and when the ambassador is walking by, they're not going to bug the ambassador there because they don't know how, they don't have the mechanics for it yet. But, if you focus on your own mechanics, this is an easy way to get better as a spy, and it can give you a lot more opportunities to catch the sniper off guard, and you can also just, sort of outplay them sometimes because you just have better mechanics. For example, one time against Martini in a Hex Cup game, I used a briefcase and I had a drink in one of my hands. So I returned the briefcase, sipped a drink right after the briefcase, and then bugged the ambassador wrong arm. Now, yeah, he could have been watching that, but I knew he wasn't from his laser and from cover, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But it also, made the play overall more smoothly because, while you can know what the correct play is, sometimes you won't have the mechanics to do it. So, did your path look awkward? Did you perform the bug with at least with as little time for the sniper to catch it as possible? There's a million things that cover mechanics, and there's always chances to sort of improve upon your mechanics. And then finally is cover. So this is just cover whether it's in the party or whether it's, the other AIs. Typically, really good cover you can get from AIs who are crowded in a conversation, who are crowded, just around random areas like the gallery pads, or I mean, even just, if they're walking, or you could have, say like a spy or say like an AI just did center inspects. Well, you could use them as cover because if you see them walking away from the statues towards the ambassador, maybe that's when you take a quick purloin because you know that the sniper is going to be watching that guest who just went to center inspects. So there's so much things that you can do with cover because cover doesn't just mean physically. Oh, I'm gonna bug when the ambassador is when I'm gonna go behind the ambassador, bug him because I know that there's a bunch of people. It's not necessarily just that. It's also the sort of cover from AI where you can kind of go and do something because an AI has suspicion and use them as cover. Like, okay, three highlights are on the right side, they're next to the ambassador, or one of them just rejected a drink, so I know that the guest list is going to be checked soon. There's 1 minute to go. Maybe now's my time to get a green swap by because the sniper isn't going to be really checking it that often because there's other more suspicious people. That's utilizing cover. And with this six principles in mind, typically that's probably gonna be the criteria that I'm gonna be analyzing these games on. So when we watch Manatters here, I'm going to instantly shoot and then watch his spy replay. So that was the first 15 minutes of the video. Hopefully, if you watched all that, you have a pretty good understanding of what I mean now. So when I say anything, in future videos, you sort of understand. Okay, like laser watching. this is what it means. So yeah, hopefully I did an adequate job at explaining that. Let's get into the games now. These are going to be some actual examples, and I'll help you go over these. But like I said, spy play is dynamic. Not all of these are going to be ever like some of these might not even be in play in a given game. Sometimes you might just need to do stuff because your pacing's off. Sometimes, you don't ever have any opportunities. Sometimes mechanics don't make a difference because the sniper, has taken account for that. Sometimes you don't get good cover. Sometimes you get great cover. Sometimes you get great opportunities. Sometimes the laser gives no information. Every spy game is going to be different because your opponents are different, the parties are different, and not every game is built different or built equal. All right, but let's get into the game here. I'm going to leave these principles up for the time being. I'm going to see if they look too distracting, I guess. So let's see. Yeah, I don't really like that. So yeah, so I'm gonna take them off, but there, there we go. And I'm just gonna shoot Damon here. All right. So this is how I want to approach this game. So I'm gonna just start the replay, and I'm gonna have the exact spy view. And at times, I think I will zoom out on the sniper side just to give you an idea of the party, which I will do actually right now. So before we even start the game here, we notice that Ambassador spawns on the left side. Toby is probably on the right side, which he is. And then that's just spawn point. So we know we're probably not going to be able to Chaos Bug. We could, depending on where the Ambassador goes, but let's just watch what the spy does here. So we just go right next to our ST, which I love. We could easily flirt here. We could leave if we want. All right, so already this spy has done what I have said you probably should do, which is hurry up and flirt and then walk away. And let's see why they can get away with this. So if we look at the party, the sniper is probably going to be memorizing statues. They're probably going to be memorizing, different things like, okay, who's next ambassador? Where's ambassador? Who's Toby offering to? Maybe looking at books a little bit, low lighting the SDAs, stuff like that. But at this particular time, I guess a flirt leave would have been a little bad because Toby's offering to seek. So let's say that the sniper was watching Toby here at this particular moment. We could have actually gotten caught because the sniper's eye would have been over there, and we could see, oh, Kane just talked and then just left right away. But since Seek is talking, is technically like it's not always illegal to like flirt and then leave. So in this case, I would say that it's probably fine that he did this, but I would have just been a little bit more careful if Toby was over there. But it's probably gonna work out, but we'll see. So let's see. So we probably just go to an empty pad now, or we can just go to a conversation that means nothing, because now we've already set ourselves up for success. Assuming Minioric doesn't flirt pair here, which I'm assuming he wouldn't. But like, okay, this is what I mean because he's not watching the party all here. So Manatters has like 3 or 4 AI in view. I can't see blue books. I can't see other set of statues. I can't see any of the timeout windows. I have no idea what's going on in this party. So that's why I don't like what we're doing here because I can't see anything. This is the angle that you should have. You should be like this. You should be watching what's happening. You should say, okay, Ambassador just put down a briefcase. All right, I'm going to keep track of the first person who goes there, see what the laser does. I'm also going to look at the laser because right now, we're not really looking. I can't see the laser. I can see it looking at me because the Ambassador's over there. But if we weren't over here, what will we be doing? So the sniper obviously looking at us because Toby and Ambassador are over there. So if I'm in this position, I know that Ambassador and Toby would be over here, sort of just hanging out, taking up all of our visual attention. There's no one else doing anything. So what you could do is you could always go for like a center inspect on the left side here, if you want to buff your pacing a little bit throughout the game. If you want to just get it out of the way now, because the sniper will be watching other stuff. So it'll probably just be like a routine sort of like, okay, I'm gonna highlight them for center inspects, but then I'm gonna go back to watching Toby and the Ambassador, and then you are just sitting there lingering in the sniper's mind. For example, if Ambassador's completely safe and Toby isn't really like, offering any high value suspects, sometimes if you guys center inspect, I feel like it's a lot stronger in the sniper's mind because the sniper's not watching anything else. But right here, since you have all the visual sort of, I guess, attention on the right side of the venue, you could pick up a blue book. You could also, just get an innocent inspect on the left side. A couple things you could do, but our spy chooses to just sit here in conversation, which I don't disagree with because our flirt progress was already really good. We have all the time in the world here. The only thing is like so if you want to go back and remember our principles, one of them was sort of cover. Well, there's not much going on in the party, so we really shouldn't bug. We really shouldn't be doing anything crazy here because there's only two people outside of conversation, and there's only one person next to Ambassador, and sure Toby's walking around, but and you just rejected a drink, so maybe he will be watching the Purloin take after it because there is a reject, but you don't know how good he's looking at Ambassador, so bugging here is pretty risky. But overall, pretty good so far from the spy. Let's see what he continues to do. So let's see. So he's watched. Okay, so now he's watching the party, and so let's see. Dumps a book, and we go for a reverse drive-by bug, which I do like. However, I think that would have been visible. So let's see it from Minioric's point of view. Okay, and then this is what I said. So, from my analysis of 20 seconds ago, the reason why this bug ended up working out was because we were zoomed in on the purloin. Why were we zoomed in on the purloin? Because Kane rejected. And so we now know that the next purloin take is going to be important to watch because we want to see, okay, did the list disappear? No, it did not. And once we finally come back and look over at, the ambassador, we just see like the tail end part maybe of Kane's arm, but it's not enough for us to just shoot him there. So that would mean that we probably missed it or at least credited this. But this is a mistake from the sniper because you should have been watching bug. You shouldn't have just given up bug like this. There's no need to zoom in on purloin because if you zoom in on the purloin here, only two people are. If you're on top of like the memory of chain of the purloin, then there's only two people it could have been. Even if the list does disappear, it's either Kane or Queen, and no reason to worry about that. But so yeah, I don't like this bug from the spy. I think it's fine because it worked here. And if he did it because he thought, okay, the sniper's gonna be watching the purloin, then it's a good idea. But if he didn't do that just because the ambassador walked by, it doesn't automatically make it a good bug. Because let's look at the angle it would have been if had I been watching this. Most obvious bug in the world, right? And this isn't even a crazy angle to be taking, right? This is about the angle you'd be on. I'd be watching him right here, and you know, so our spy takes a pretty bad bug in my opinion, but it works out because the sniper actually is focusing on purloin, which just goes to show you that watching the laser would have shown you that okay, I can maybe go for this because I would say okay, the ambassador is going to books, the sniper's probably gonna be like okay, I can watch purloin here and see the reject or see the list go if it is going to go, um, but yeah, I don't like the bug there. I think it's a bad idea. I think we just chill there and maybe just try to hook up with Sorry because everyone's in conversation. We just want to be looking as inconspicuous as possible, I think. But anyway, good bug. I'm glad it took. So now this is when you get the bug, and now this is another thing that happens. So this would, in my opinion, be part of sort of the laser watching. Is that after you bug, you want to see what the laser is doing. If after the bug you notice that the laser is like dead still, you really don't want to do anything too suspicious in the next few in the next few seconds or in the next minute because technically that could mean that they caught you and they're just waiting for confirmation. Um, However, if you notice the laser here, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it again. So we bug. Now watch the laser. Our laser is still moving. Um, Looks pretty routine. Our laser goes on to us for a second, but if you notice, it stays there. So you can kind of just assume if you're the spy that, it's a pretty clean bug. And so that's how I would play the game. I would play the game now as if it was a completely clean bug because the laser shows no sign that we even bugged. So now you're free to go to center inspects, you're free to purloin in a minute or two. You can even take a book here and wait out 2 minutes and then test the sniper's memory of of a book return. And then, the best part about that is that if you wait all that time, maybe they'll sieve shot and you already had a bug and you had a plan to finish because you already got the bug by them cleanly. So when you get a mission buy like this, it's completely free. You're completely free to play it however you want. But yeah, just a very obvious bug that Mini Oric probably needed to catch. And so now the spy is in a really good spot. So now you have a lot of options. You can do fingerprints if you don't want to go to center inspects, because even then some good snipers could still shoot you for center inspects and BB, depending on how behaviorally sus you act the rest of the game. If you hit this green flirt here, I definitely would have just went straight to center inspects. Um, let's keep watching. Now there's no need to really do anything because, after that one singular play, we kind of know our exact position. We know that we're not sus for this bug because the laser hasn't really given us any indication that we are, even though we could be. But even then, if you are if they did see the bug and you think that they did, you still have to do stuff anyway because if you don't, then you're gonna lose anyway because they probably are just gonna hold on you anyway. So I think it's better to play as if you gotten the bug by completely clean, and that's probably what the spy is gonna do. If I had to guess, we're gonna go to center inspects and BB. Um, that's what I would do because our flirts have been clean. We aren't paired as far as I know, and bug was clean. So, um, and from the spy side, you know that because the laser didn't move, right? So we watched the laser, and yeah. All right, so let's play out the rest of the game here. Obviously, I would not take this purloin. There's no point. Okay, so there's a print at blue. So, Disney's taking a print, maybe. So right now you could also still just watch. So like also one more thing, even though you got this bug by clean, you think it's still better to watch people who are being sus, and then sort of like time your missions when when suspicious people are doing stuff. Because if you just do your stuff anyway, you could still be like the top suspect, which gives the sniper more of a chance to actually find the shot on you. So if Disney goes to blue bookcase here after this print, then maybe that's when you can go to center inspect. That way the sniper's like, okay, Disney just went to blue bookcase with the print, but now Seek's getting a print, and so now you would say, okay, does Seek have another print? If they do, then I could probably go to center inspects here because now the sniper is probably seeing two missions done from people, but they don't have another mission, so they probably still have to wait. There's a lot more stuff. Whereas if you're the only person who ever has missions, okay, we green purloin here. So now this would be a test of if we were watching the party as the spy. So is there a reject before this? That's what we want to know. So let's see it. So, okay, so Wheels takes a drink. We reject. Sorry, rejects. Teal rejects. Or no, Teal takes a drink, sorry. And then Red Dress rejects. And it goes to us. So we. So now, I don't like this purloin. I like it a little bit just because Red Dress takes it. I would have liked this purloin a lot more if that SDA wasn't a real DA because after the purloin went off, we could have BB'd, and then it's either us or Red Dress still. And obviously, if we know he doesn't have the bug, so we know there's no way he's taking a shot on us, even if he thinks it is a 50-50 here. But yeah, I don't mind this Purloin, but I wish it would have been a real double agent. We'll have to see what the other party does. So this is when you still want to watch and see who has it. And then after the Purloin gets taken, you want to see the sniper's reaction to it. Notice that the sniper's on the laser. He sees the or is on the tray. He sees the list gone. So now he's thinking, and I like that the spy BB's in the middle of that. But what I don't like about it is that had we been on top of the reject chain, the sniper would have noticed that we switched conversations to another yellow triangle and that, white dress and red dress were in the same conversation and then they BB'd. So I would have disliked Kane a lot here. Obviously, I would have shot for the bug early on, but, you know, behaviorally, someone like Rob could have easily found this shot even if they missed the bug because they saw you switch conversations and you also still have a BB. And they also could have seen the fade. So assuming the fade was seen, it's just down to you and Red Dress. And who's more sus, you or Red Dress? Red Dress didn't move and BB'd and has no other mission progress. And maybe you don't have any mission progress, but you switch conversations. That's a little suspicious. I probably wouldn't have moved yet if it was me, because the sniper could have easily found me out. But I think because it looks like the sniper wasn't on top of that and also didn't have the bug, I think that switching conversations is fine and would have worked out no matter what. But it still would have given the sniper a little bit of a chance to find you. I think it wouldn't have given the sniper no chance to find you had you just BB'd anyway in the other conversation with red dress and white dress. Because if it was a better sniper and knew that they were on and knew like what the purloins were, I think it would have been easier for them to hold there. And, if the time ever arises, you can always just BB at the end and make it look like it's going to be a timeout. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it, but the plan works out here, and good for the spy. I think this BB is fine, but the sniper was clearly not on top of Purloin here. Missed our bug, and we just got a free win because of it. So you can kind of see that this spy game wasn't really played expertly well. It was just that the sniper missed stuff. So, this you could have played this very same game and not won, and then you probably think to yourself, "Oh man, I got unlucky." But like, there's always things that you could be doing to kind of increase your odds of winning a game. And, no matter how good the sniper is, sometimes you just have the concrete information, right? That's why party watching is so good. And if you watched the laser this game, you would have known that that bug was completely clean, and that no matter what, if you do anything else after that, you aren't getting shot. That's why I said the spy probably could have went to center inspects and then contacted, because the sniper doesn't have anything else, and it's still so early on in the game that even if we BB, we aren't going to get shot for it. That's why I think watching the laser is good, because since we really didn't take into account watching the laser here, we go for a random green purloin and just get lucky that the sniper misses it. When it could have been way different. We could have like been down to 3 people, 2 people if we watched the fade, and then watched Kane switch conversations take a BB, and that would have been all she wrote. But that is our first game here. Pretty nice game. Ballroom's a fun venue to play as the spy. All right, let's see. What's the next game? Perfect. Another ballroom game. All right, so obviously, let's just shoot Damon. And we already got a bug pass. So, yes. So, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's always good to take advantage of the time of chaos. So this would go under the opportunities, where you take advantage of the fact that the party's really busy and we go for a bug. And it's interesting because we're not anywhere near the ambassador. Okay, this is a good opportunity, because Turnip Boy sees that the ambassador's walking towards my vicinity, and walking in the same path that I'm about to walk in. If he stops, or even if he just bumps into me, I could probably bug here. And so that's what we probably do. But Turnip Boy also could have stopped right here, requested a drink, and purloined. And I think that would have been equally as strong. Because watch the sniper, he's watching the ambassador. If we stopped like right about here, or even just right here, we could have stopped, instantly requested a drink, and purloined and walked away, and I think it would have been fine. But instead we decided to bug. So just different like things you could do. I think if you have this good of a spawn, you notice the ambassador spawns on the other side of the venue. I think taking the purloin here is more correct of a play. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the play, but it's more like correct in my opinion. And I would have taken this purloin here. But I think bugging probably also works as well. But anyway, let's see. So obviously we just straight up take the bug, and we rock right past the ambassador. Let's see the sniper's point of view here. Definitely a visible bug. The sniper didn't have a good enough angle for it. Let's see the laser. Now this is when when you're spying, you want to watch the laser. Every time you do something that's suspicious, watch the laser. So you kind of notice that he's just kind of like moving around, shifting around, and not really doing anything. Highlights, for statues, but just normal highlights. So then again, you can kind of assume that the bug is either credited or that you got away with the bug. And so now I would have just gone statue to statue and then flirt and then BB'd, because there's no way I'm dying. But I don't mind this. We're already so ahead of the game already. We don't need to worry about pacing because we already got a bug pass. Another purloin is so interesting to me. I hate this purloin, all right? I actually hate this purloin because Ambassador is actually completely in the clear and is safe. There's no one near the ambassador, so there's not even anybody at books. The only thing should even be watching here as the sniper is Toby. And let's see if anyone even rejected before Smallman. Let's see. Okay, ambassador. All right, let's just watch Toby real quick. Okay, Wheels reject. Okay, Duke takes. Okay, Amba. Sorry rejects. Yeah, so yet again, sorry rejects, and then it goes to us. And like, the sniper just completely got. I feel like the sniper just misplayed this game yet again. I don't think that this was I don't think this was a case where like, oh, the spy's gonna win because it was a really well played game. I think that the spy is just gonna win because the sniper just missed. I feel like the most crucial points of the spy's game. Because this purloin is very bad. I don't think this purloin makes any sense at all, because the ambassador is completely safe. Any good sniper knows that they're safe and isn't going to sit there and watch them like a hawk. I'm watching Toby here. I'm saying, okay, I'm probably on top of Sari's reject. Okay, Smallman just rejected, and it's going to go to General. I'm watching the fade here, and I have this angle right here. So I'm going to watch the fade as best as I possibly can. I know that it instantly goes away. And so right here, if I'm sniping this game, I already know that it's down to 2 people, Sari and Smallman. But oh look, Smallman's going to statues again. I also thought at the beginning of the game, oh yeah, Smallman went right past the ambassador. That's probably a bug. Okay, so they just now have they're just now 50-50 in a purloin. They're doing inspects, and then they bugged or have a bug credit. And now we just green swap. I'm assuming this is just a casual game, and obviously not every game on here is going to be like, oh, Asta, and not every game is going to be competitive. But I'm just saying what I would do in a given party state is all.
Banana bread.
Yeah, BB for no reason. I mean, no, not really a real point to be being there. But okay, anyway, let's watch the actual sniper's sort of laser here. Bad angle for watching Bugbear. Uh, sees the lit, doesn't see the list still. Finally sees the list. Highlights general. Do they highlight sorry? Okay, highlight. I mean, okay, sorry does get highlight. I don't know why. Are we at all sus of Smallman here? Yeah, this BB is bad, I think. I don't
Banana
understand this
bread.
BB. It is good that the BB happened, though, because Sorry's in for real BB, and the other conversation looks like real BB, but I don't think the spy didn't have any way of knowing that, because he's in with the real BB. So, yet again, just kind of got lucky. I don't like this BB at all. This game was not really played well, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying, like, I don't think this was a well-played game. I think there's many opportunities where, like, you could have made a different decision, and I think the game goes differently, or about the same, and I think you win, but yeah. Like just watching this pat. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like watch this would be, so when I play the game, this would have been my laser, right? So I'm watching Ambassador highlighting. Toby, I notice is still moving. I'm watching Bug. Oh, Smallman just took a pat by Ambassador. Looks like he could have bugged. Probably highlight Smallman here. Highlight Kane. Highlight Smallman. Whatever. Wheels reject. Okay. And then okay, Duke takes. Okay, cool. Statues are already memorized for me at this point because I memorized statues in the first like couple seconds of the game. And then watch what Amba does. Does Amba take a drink? No, he doesn't. Okay, cool. Smallman still has a print credit, so I'm gonna see you go, or a bug credit, so I'm keeping in mind that. Sorry, reject. Okay, cool. And then, okay, goes to Smallman, who has a bug credit. Okay, he rejects. I'm gonna want to see this list fade. Um, so I'm going to be watching that. Ambassador completely safe. I know Smallman's moving to statues again. He already has bug credit, so there's no point in watching that. And then, okay, I don't see the fade here from this angle, but obviously I can see the list is gone. So that brings it down to 3 people. But, I mean, Smallman at statues has a bug credit and just did a purloin. I'm shooting Smallman here instantly, right? And I feel like that's how most top level snipers would have played this game. And would have found the spy. So that's why I think that starting off with the purloin here might have been stronger because look at all the people that are next to Ambassador here, right? Even if you're good at watching Ambassador here and you're watching that, right here, I'm still zoomed in. I'm still zoomed in for kind of twin, and now I'm looking at Toby. We would have had 8 seconds to get that green purloin off, and we didn't. We chose to bug instead, which inevitably would have ended up to us catching the spy. Um, but yeah, there really wasn't many principles in this game. I think yet again, the spy didn't really like make or do anything that was sort of like thoughtful. He just kind of just did what he wanted and won, which sometimes happens. But yeah, I don't think that was a well played game, and so I think that hopefully you see that game as like oh, there is like some nuance to spy play because I could have done this, and this differently. I could have not be beat here. Purloin, wouldn't have done that. I would have done it at the beginning of the game when Ambassador would have had sort of some traffic around him, stuff like that. And that's also something I want to say now, just get out of the way. I'm not trying to like hate on any spies or like, be like, oh, this spy sucks. Like all I'm trying to do is focus on the sniper play or the spy play and hopefully, teach like where people can possibly go wrong in a spy game and teach them how to play it better. So shoot Toby. Another spy from Turnip Boy. So let's see what he would do. So we spawn next to Ambassador, and when you spawn on Aquarium, you kind of want to watch where the shark goes. So like if this is where I'm spawning, right? I'm like, okay, let's see where's the shark. Okay, he's on the right side, so he's gonna be on the bottom. Where's the Ambassador going? Okay, he's going there. I don't want to go to bookcase. That's already full. So if I was a spy here, depending on what my sniper highlights for, I would have either gone to bar or to statues. So like you could easily go to bar here, just take a delegate. Why not? Your spot, your ST's tied up for at the moment. Ambassador's relatively safe, and there's just really no point into just sitting in an empty conversation for the heck of it, because there is a lot of sparse activity throughout the party. there's like a million inspectors, right? So if I know so this is definitely a case where like if I know that the spy or the sniper doesn't highlight for statues, I'm just taking a free inspect here because there's no way they're gonna have that. But this is aquarium, and so if you can already see, the spy's probably aiming for a middle shark. You can easily walk by the shark here. So he's gonna time this bug, which I like. So yep, there we go. We bug. Okay, and we missed the bug twice. I mean, like, Turnip Boy. Okay, I feel bad for this man. This man's gonna like, this guy is like looks like the worst spy ever in my video. I swear to God. But um, yeah, I mean it happens. We miss games sometimes. But okay, let's watch it from. I'll do it from my perspective, or we'll do it for this. Let's see what this bug looks like from the first original sniper's perspective, right? Okay, so first one doesn't take. Would have been completely clean. We just walk past him again and bug, but it doesn't take. But at that point, if this was me, I'm still gonna be watching Ambassador. I'm gonna be watching this. And then I noticed the Irish who was standing right there walked here and there, and then I'm easily gonna credit that for a print, right, or a bug, right? So like if this was me sniping this game, I'm crediting that for a bug. But if you're the sniper, if you're the spy, you can kind of sit here and be like, okay, what will the spy do, or what will the sniper be doing? So obviously you want to look at the laser. Maybe that highlights onto us, maybe it's onto Kane, we don't know. So now we could probably just assume that we're highlight or that it was completely clean. I would probably assume that's just completely clean because if it's highlight, I'm probably dead anyway. So I like this. We're going to go for our first flirt. It's 3 minutes left to play. Still a lot of time. We need to catch up a little bit on pacing. This is why if we had an inspector delegate early on in the game, it would have been a lot better in my opinion. Even if we had the opportunity to have a completely clean bug behind shark, I think we would have guaranteed progress rather than a risk because you always risk messing up the shark timing. Whereas if you went to inspects here, you're one of like 6 or 7 people, and if you go at like 1.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes later, because you would have went around like 3:45, then it just works a lot better. But anyway, that's all moot because we decided to go for a bug, and so now it's like, what shall we do? And I like that we're watching the laser here. Don't forget to keep watching people. Red Dress goes to a statue. Uh, I'm pretty sure Red Dress went to a statue earlier on in the game. So, I don't know how good the sniper's memory is. I wouldn't remember what statue Red Dress went to. I would just remember that she went to a statue. So I would have probably like if I was the sniper, I would have definitely been a little sus of Red Dress here. And if you were the spy, you could be like, oh, Red Dress is going to statues again. I should keep that in mind. But for right now, there's not much you can do about that because the party state is very dead. There's not much happening. Ambassador is honestly relatively safe. So I like that we're just sitting here flirting. But after that second flirt, now you should start going and doing stuff. So you should go to a statue. You should go to the bar. A lot of people are going to statues here. I think, you could maybe mix in a swap or something. I think is an interesting idea. Let's look at a fingerprintable statue though. I'm not watching prints obviously, but yeah, this is a good find. But yeah, go to inspect, or yeah, get an inspect, which is what I recommended, and also gonna get a print, which is good. And then now we are, pretty well paced here. I would say we get this next flirt, we find another print, and I would say that we're on really good pace. So you could probably just reject the drink here. I don't think you need to take a drink or anything like that, just because you kind of already have a game plan in mind. You could have just rejected a drink here so as not to give yourself any suspicion. But party state is still extremely like dead. So you don't really want a purloin here because there wasn't really many people at bar before you. But it looks like I see already in the actions that that's what we're gonna do, which is a little unfortunate. Um, you could also just go to the windows next to the ambassador and wait for him to drop the briefcase. But since he didn't, I think it's fine that we waited here. So it's probably better that way. So we delegate, walk away. Behaviorally sus with 40 seconds left to go. But, we only have half of an inspect, half of a print. So it's not like we shouldn't really be that suspicious yet. Alice has inspects.
And the underbred.
BBB. And yeah, we can just go to books or we can go to the briefcase next here. I would just go right now. Yeah, I mean, if you go now, it's like you're obligated for the briefcase here. So this would have been shootable because it's like you just ignored the briefcase and instead went for a book, which I get why we did it. It makes sense. But this game was definitely shootable. because I think that the spy sort of played it a little bit wrong. It just feel like we got lucky yet again. Because the spy I don't even think was on top of Alice having inspects, which I'm pretty sure Alice was one of the inspectors at the beginning of the game, which she was, and she inspected the set over here, and but then she got knocked out for BB, which is fine. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this game. It could have been better. I mean, it could have been a little worse. It just depends. There was a lot of activity in this game, I think, as well, at some points. So I think that's why we got away with everything. Did the sniper even
In
notice
the
the
end of red.
purloin? Okay, there's also only one real BB, which is interesting. The sniper could have played this better too, I think, as well. But yeah, all of this is moot because had that bug taken, we would have been so set. It wouldn't have even mattered what we did, really, if the sniper didn't credit that specific bug. So, yet again, I mean, just a nice game from Turnip Boy. I liked the pacing on it a lot. Okay, so we have Nebula spying on Gallery, and I'm intrigued to see how Nebula is going to play a Gallery game. Nebula, like I said, is one of the best spies, so let's see how he plays it. All right, so we're white dress here against Sauerkraut. And I'm shocked that we just don't go for an immediate timeout, but Ambassador's kind of safe, and Toby's not really offering to anybody. So you'll notice that at the beginning of the game, if I was a spy, I'm gonna say, okay, can I bug? No, Ambassador's going to bookcase. Toby's offering to nobody. So right here, what the spy, what the sniper's probably just doing is he's gonna highlight for statues, watch anyone near the Ambassador for a little bit, and then zoom out to watch the time ad potentially. So let's watch and see what that happens. So yeah, so notice ambassador safe. Yep, see, that's exactly what I mean. So this is about when you're a spy and you want to watch the party to see what the party's doing, because you can kind of predict what the sniper is going to do, right? Exactly what I said would happen. He notices that ambassador's safe. Toby's not really offering to anybody, so the second Toby offers to Taft, and he's like, okay, I'll just zoom out real quickly and check time ad, and then just highlight for time ads or whatever. I could do that. All right, let's see what Nebula chooses to do first. I like that we turn around and just chase our ST. We're slower than our ST, so wherever they land, because we're slower than them, we'll just be able to land with them. Yep, so we talked with Rocker, hit a green test. Ambassador's near us, so we can't walk away, unfortunately, because Sauerkraut's going to be watching the Ambassador. And you'll notice that Nebula is watching all of this, so he has the entire party in view besides the Ambassador, because there's no point in bugging, and no one's getting credited for a bug out here, so we're all good to just sit here and chill. A couple highlights in the party, maybe we are thinking, but watching the laser, just gonna flirt here. There's no one need to reinvent the wheel. Let's just flirt. If we had another green test here, we could rush. So let's see if we hit the green. Okay, it's a white test. So yeah, once you get the white test, you can just get out. Ambassador and Toby are at the back of the venue. If Sauerkraut's watching the front of the conversation, congrats, he wins. But he's not going to. So obviously Nebula was also watching when the Ambassador went and is well aware of the print that is on the green bookcase, which he's walking to right now. So only thing though, if we microfilm here, that's fine. But if we only take this print, I would have went to the other side of the bookcase. That way we wouldn't get like suspicion for being in the spy spot. And we just ripped the book. So I agree with this. I think ripping the book's fine. This is what you should do if you're going to go to the spy spot anyway, is you should just do something with microfilm. Otherwise, you want to be visible to the sniper. That way, all your mission progress isn't really like being, sort of, I guess, distracting. And that's why we go for this microphone right here, because we were behind the entire conversation. We might not have even been seen at this bookcase. So let's watch it from Sauerkraut's point of view. And keep in mind, Ambassador's at the beginning of the venue, Toby's at the back. I guess with Toby being at that point in the conversation, I don't know if I still would have went for this microfilm, but Ambassador takes more priority over Toby. So I think by the time we left and by the time that Sauerkraut stopped watching the Ambassador, we don't even really notice Nebula or where Nebula even came from. So anyway, yeah, so we get away with this microfilm here, I think. Don't really obey cycles, I think, but that's fine. Now Seduce and Transfer Microform are finished up. We only need one more print. And if you notice, our pacing is really, really good, which is why I said Nebula has some of the best pacing. Just chose a moment to go for something, did it, and had very concrete reasons for doing so. Ambassador at the front of the venue. Flirt, I could just cheese when I want to because, I know that the sniper's not going to be watching this. And it's just playing very, very well this game. No need to bug here. Probably going to be trying to get in this contact conversation because there's a minute and 30 left to play, and I would say the only limiting factor of this game would basically be our ability to contact. And if you notice, the Ambassador and Toby are still in the back of the conversation, so we should be fine to contact here, especially if we aren't already dead for this microfilm. If we don't die for this banana
Banana
bread,
bread.
then we basically have already won because we'll just do our final print and it's over. And the game's kind of over. It doesn't really matter what we do now. We just need to basically get a print, which is what we're going to do. If we have no sus on the microfilm, we're not going to get shot for a print. So uh, Nebula's just going to go for a briefcase here. I'll just fast forward because I already know what's going to happen. Because at this point, if I would say that I'm a pretty good spy like Nebula, so I would say I'm pretty well attuned to knowing how to finish a game. Uh,
Banana bread.
and so what Nebula's probably thinking here is that, okay, I really only need a print. There's nothing else really to do. I'm just going to chill in conversation until I can go get myself a print. And so that's exactly what he does. Someone returns the case to Amba, I would assume. Yep. So then Nebula just waits until she drops it, starts walking because he knows White Dress is a slower character. So before the ambassador even leaves, you'll notice that Nebula's probably going to start walking towards it. The second ambassador leaves, we'll go towards it, which is right about now. And we go for the briefcase. It's completely safe briefcase. We don't even have another briefcase. This is the first briefcase for our white dress. And it's mission countdown. You're never finding this shot because you already missed the microfilm. You didn't catch any flirts. And even if you have prints here, it's super suspicious. However, there's no need to even do anything because Nebula knows I already won this game, and that is what a good spy game looks like. So, choosing a good moment to do one of the missions, and then, just picking a nice other mission to do that way. You don't have to really, throw too much other suspicion onto yourself. All right. So I don't know how many games I'm gonna do. I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, which gets a little bit exhausting to do. So I think for this video, I've already talked so much, and it's almost at like an hour long already. I think I'm just gonna do one more, and I will just finish up here on Terrace. Just 5 games. I think it's short and sweet. Well, not completely short, but sweet for sure. We're on Terrace 3 of 6 though. Not a normal setup for Terrace, but that's okay. All right, same thing. Uh, going over to Hunu. So sniper spawns in. We're nowhere near the ambassador here, so no reason to go anywhere near them. Uh, we could either do. This is another thing. We could do anything we really want here. We choose to go to statues here. We get highlight anyway. That's when you just get free inspects here because we took AI control here. Not something that's typical for people, but this isn't anything wrong. You never want to avoid statues at the beginning of the game. I would assume on 3 of 6 terrace it's probably bad, but if we're good about flirts, we could finish up inspects pretty quickly in BB, and then we're done. All right, so if I was Hunu, I would just go to a window pad to see where Sorry lands, but we don't do that. We just go to a conversation. So now we're hoping that Sorry goes to our conversation here. All right, and just doing a whole bunch of idling. This is why I would have waited at Windows, because now I could have just went right in between Bling or Plain Twin and Sorry, and it would have been free flirts for a little bit. But we're wasting some of our pacing here, which I don't like. And this game I could already see ending up as a timeout because we have no flirts right now, and we're one of like the only highlights in the party. Not because we're suspicious, just because we did inspects at the beginning. So yeah, I think already I would have went to window pad right here because it would have allowed me to go next to Sorry once I knew where she landed, which is either in convo or at another window pad. So yeah, we just basically waste 30 seconds here for no reason, and it's not like we're already suspicious. Like we're already at a point in the party where like we're not inherently suspicious yet. So like we don't need to be behaviorally waiting around doing nothing. We could just go do something because it's not sus yet. You know what I mean? And now yet again, we're just go to a weird place in conversation. Just go next to Sorry. Like we already waited in conversation for 30 seconds, so if the spy thinks we're at all suspicious, they're gonna pair us with other people, not Sorry. So you could have just went next to Sorry here. We had a 31% flirt, and if we're gonna wait here for 45 more seconds, there's only gonna be 1 minute 15 seconds left, and things are gonna get really dicey as regards to pacing here. So right here, if you really want to think about finishing missions, you really should go to inspects. But the party members might not be giving you the option to do that because you might be overwhelmingly suspicious. That's why I said you really should just go next to Sorry when you can, because it would have been like 2 minutes 20 seconds, and you would have already had at least one flirt done. And at this point, you would have had two flirts, and then you could have been finishing up your third flirt at bar here, and then you could have finished inspects, and then decided if I want to BB, I'll BB, and make the sniper either hold or shoot me. But right here, it's already looking like a timeout, and I think it is going to be a timeout, but um, I could tell you, even if I didn't spoil myself, that this is very clearly going to be probably a timeout. We have no choice but to switch conversations here. There's only a minute left, and then we'll have to move. We could have went for a bug there, maybe, but I don't like it as much, just because we're already highlit. If we weren't highlit for statues there, could have maybe found some like crazy bug. And see, this is what I mean. Sorry is going to briefcase now for no reason, or Sorry's going to briefcase now, and for no reason we wasted all this time idling. And at this point, we already have to commit to a timeout because there's no chance with our pacing. We have no pacing this game because, like I said, one of the parts of pacing is just finishing missions before time runs out. We can certainly do that, but the other part is finishing missions where we aren't just going to be behaviorally so suspicious for them that we get shot anyway. Uh, there's no scenario here in which case we finish and we aren't suspicious, right? We have to rush either inspects, contact, and seduce. And right now we're just fake contacting, letting off two lowlights for free.
Banana bread.
I don't even like this fake contact here, even though there is a lot of people in on the other conversation. Both twins are lowlights. And so that decreases the chance for us to even like we could have, for example, at least went to the bar and took a drink. But you can kind of see this game, like the only reason we lost the spy game, or at least like timed out, was because our pacing was just god awful. I don't know why our biggest mistake was just going to this empty conversation. We could have easily went to window pads, had her, and then just left and went to next to Sorry, and we would have had our first flirt probably around 2:30 or so. Waited 45 seconds, talked again like right about here, and then our timer would have been reset when she went to bar. Could have went back to bar, finished our flirt with her, got a delegate, and or went to inspects after that after we rejected a drink. There's just so many other plans, but because you pigeonhole yourself at the end of the game like this, you know, even if the ambassador takes a drink, there's no mission when countdown because we were behind on pacing. There's no threat here, the sniper, and it's the easiest hold ever because no one else really has anything either. Because you didn't make the sniper have to get tested. You decided to do nothing, and you were really passive, and so you get punished for it. That's why you need to sort of give yourself a sort of, you know, you need to give yourself sort of stuff to work off of. You need to give yourself a foothold in the game. And pacing and flirts is like one of the best ways that you can do that. So I don't like this game. I think we were way too passive. And, if you're too passive, you lose. If you're too aggressive, you lose. Find that middle ground. There's nothing wrong with going to window pads, waiting for like 10 seconds, going next to Sorry, waiting another 10 seconds, talking around 2:30. And then, obviously you can predict if she's going to be in conversation that long, but normally that'd be a pretty good idea anyway. So, yeah, I think this game was just really easily, kind of at least we could have tested the sniper a little bit. We didn't really test the sniper. I mean, all the people who had real BB had no other third mission, so there's no other reason to shoot yet, right? And we gave two lowlights to people at bar with like 40 seconds left in the game, which I don't agree with because we could have delegate cheese. We could have took a purloin for either one of these people if we were gonna time out anyway. But instead we take a random BB, send ambassador for whatever reason, and us and White just don't even have any real BB. So like, it doesn't make sense as a game plan. Yet again, that's not to say like don't like walk away from this video and be like, oh yeah, he's just calling other spies bad. Throughout this series, I'm just really gonna be like pointing out mistakes that I think people make, and things might not be mistakes because people the sniper can always miss stuff, but I think if you're playing against a really good sniper, I think that there's some things that you should just be doing anyway. All right. So I think I'm gonna end it there though. Hopefully as a first game, hopefully as a first, sort of video, the format makes sense and that you guys took something away from it. There's a lot to spy play. I hope to, get a lot more good spy games in there for you guys. But that is going to be it for me. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.